So what really are the benefits of an MD-PhD? Well, it all comes down to the PhD really. In PhD years, you do a lot of research that's more inclined to the clinical side. So you get a lot more opportunities to work with something that you might not have done before. This includes working with animal models, maybe working in clinical trials, and that's what I'm really excited about to pursue in an MD-PhD. I want to really take what I learned in the molecular sciences into actually treating patient diseases. So that's ultimately why I want to go through an MD-PhD. What's more is that an MD-PhD allows you to get jobs that relate directly into clinical trials. As an MD-PhD, you can get access to companies that might be doing drug testing or certain experimental therapeutics. And as a regular MD, while you can get into those, it might be more difficult. So as an MD-PhD, you have a more streamlined process to get into these pathways. Now that's not to say MD-PhDs can't necessarily do clinical practice, where they treat patients directly, but they can take what they learn from the research lab and integrate those techniques into their ways to treat patients. So what does this mean for me? Well, I really want to get into cancer biology, especially novel therapeutics, utilizing the immune system to attack cancer while not affecting normal cells. And that's what I'm excited to do. I really want to take that into my PhD project and expand upon that in the future. And I know these are big plans, but I also want to create a company that can do this at a large scale that's more feasible in today's climate. So hopefully that can come to fruition. But first, I got to complete my MD-PhD. So how does the structure of an MD-PhD differ from that of a regular med student? Well, I kind of mentioned that in my previous video. Go watch that if you haven't already. But it ultimately comes down to the structure of the program. A regular MD will do 4 years continuous of med school. They'll do 2 years of classroom lectures and then 2 years of clinical practice. As an MD-PhD, you kind of split that up. You do your first 2 years of MD, but then you do 3 years of research. So that's 3 years instead of a typical 5+ years of a PhD. So it's definitely accelerated, but that's where your PI comes into play. They will help you prepare for this. After that, you go right back into your med school years. So this is completing your 2 years of med school, and then you're on to your residency if you choose so to do it. I think I definitely want to do it. I definitely want to go into a residency kind of specialty where it goes into a more surgical field, but anything can change at this point. If you don't know, I'm starting med school this summer, and I really want to take you alongside the journey of where I explore real estate, the stock market, other investments, my journey. I really want to create a bioscience company, and I also want to create a platform where any person can come to and learn about the med topics that are trending today and other med topics that are common in everyone's world, so that they can get the most reliable pieces of information that they need in order to live a happy and healthy life. So I kind of hinted at this before, but what kind of topics am I interested in research? Well, the big topic that's really prominent in today's bioscience research field is cancer biology, especially utilizing the immune system. So that's utilizing our body's own natural defense systems to target cancer. The hard thing is, how do you target cancer and not your normal cells? A lot of chemotherapeutics these days utilize targets that target rapidly dividing cells, but this has undesirable consequences, especially things like hair loss, diarrhea, gastrointestinal problems, and other problems such as anemia and whatnot. So in order to combat this, researchers are trying to figure out ways in order to target cancer cells specifically. My previous research actually kind of looked at this, looking at the ROR1 protein. If you want to learn more about that, please do search my name in Google and a bunch of papers will come up. Shameless plug. So I want to do my research in immunotherapies, where we can utilize molecular targets of cancer cells that are unique to them and use the person's immune system in order to target this. Now, I do know that every cancer is different and every cancer in every body is different. That's what makes cancer so hard to treat, and that's why we don't have a cure for every type of cancer that's out there right now. But this also relates to what I want to do in my investments as well, looking at companies that do follow this sort of path and kind of bring out the front lines in sort of immunotherapeutics. So if you're interested in joining this journey with me, please subscribe and stay tuned. I have more videos coming of my journey through med school. Thanks.